It is an annual rite of spring, bringing with it excitement and emotion that can be found in no other sporting event, the NCAA tournament. Your wait is finally over, the brackets are ready, and the drama of March Madness is about to begin. Hello, everyone. I'm Greg Gumbel, and this is the NCAA Championship Basketball Selection Show, brought to you by State Farm, the #1 auto insurer. Joining me at the anchor desk, as always, my partner, Clark Kellogg. We're all set to show you the seedings and pairings, so get out your bracket sheet, get those pencils ready. Here are the basics. Of the 65 available tournament bids, 31 are automatically given to conference champions. The tournament committee hands out the remaining 34 bids on an at-large basis. An opening round game will take place on Tuesday night to narrow the field to 64 teams. But before we unveil the brackets for this season, here's a look at the final top 25 media poll of the season. There are a couple of major changes in the rankings as March Madness approaches. A new team is sitting pretty in the top spot. The Horned Frogs of TCU are the new #1. No doubt they're thrilled to be on the top of the heap just as the tournament gets set to begin. The Charlotte 49ers were the #1 team but slipped after spending 1 week at the top. There was also a big move made up the poll. The Maryland Terrapins jumped all the way from the number 22 spot to number 16.
They're peaking at just the right time, Greg. This is exactly the way you want to be playing going into the tournament.
It's time to talk about the topic that has a lot of players and coaches holding their breath right now, the NCAA tournament bubble. These are the 10 teams that aren't worried as much about where they'll be playing as if they'll be playing. Clark, who jumps out at you there?
St. Mary's. And take comfort in the fact that there have been so many great showings by non-power conference schools in the tournament in the past few years. The committee has really warmed up to those conferences.
You got that right. And who else might be in the same position?
Alabama should be considered among the best of the major conference teams not holding an automatic bid. But there are plenty of non-power conference teams knocking on the door that may prevent them from getting an invitation.
I'm sure it's been a long week for those teams, but the wait's almost over. The NCAA Selection Committee has finished its meeting, and we're ready to unveil the top 4 seeds in this year's tournament. The North Carolina State Wolfpack are the top overall seed, and they will play in the East Regional. The Selection Committee differed with the media on who the #1 team in the country is, but the committee is the important one at this point, and we'll soon see if their faith in this team is warranted. On to the second #1 seed, who will play in the Houston Regional. The Horned Frogs of TCU are seeking their first ever NCAA championship. The Northwestern Wildcats are our third #1 seed, and they'll play in the St. Louis Regional. They returned to the tournament after not making the field last year, so this will be a new experience for some of their younger players. And finally, our fourth #1 seed will play in the West Regional. The Dayton Flyers are in the tournament field as a #1 seed for the first time in the history of their program. Now, here's how the brackets shape up based on where the #1 seeds have been assigned. In one national semifinal game, the winner of the East Regional will play the winner of the Houston Regional. In the other semifinal game, the winner of the St. Louis Regional will play the winner of the West Regional. Those games will be played on Saturday, April 6th. Then it'll be on to the national championship game on Monday night. Anything shocking to you about those picks?
Well, when you see the selection committee deviate from the top 4 teams in the media poll, it's a little surprising. They've opened themselves up to some criticism with these picks.
So with the #1 seeds out of the way, it's finally time to tackle the rest of the brackets. First up, we take a look at the East Regional. The North Carolina State Wolfpack are the top seed, finishing at 27-6. They won both the regular season and conference. And now the #8 seed, the Massachusetts Minutemen, come into the tournament as the 4th place team in their Florida enters the field. Maryland. Next up is the #2 seed, the Nebraska. Our #7 seed is from West Virginia. Comes in. The DePaul Blue Demons are in as the #6 seed. They'll be taking on the #11 seed, the Fairfield Stags, with 23 wins. Some of the lower seeds in this bracket have the ability. Next up, the Horned Frogs of TCU are the top seed, finishing at 28-5. They won both the regular season and conference tournament titles in the Mountain West Conference. They'll take on the San Jose State Spartans, the #16 ranked team. This is their 9th appearance all time in the NCAA tournament. Duke comes in as the #8 seed, finishing at 20-13. Texas comes in to face them at #9. Michigan State. Baylor enters the field as the #5. Our #2 seed is from the Big Ten. Next up is the #7 seed, the Aggies of Texas. And now the number 6 seed, the Wisconsin Badgers, come into the tournament as the 4th place team in their conference during the regular season and were losers in their first game at their conference tournament. They are going to play the number 11 seed, the Flames of Illinois Chicago, who came in first in their conference tournament, finishing at 20-9. Looking into the future a little bit, this bracket looks poised for a titanic matchup in the regional final. If the top 2 seeds can take care of business in the first 3 rounds, we have the possibility of a classic Elite 8 meeting. On to our third bracket of the day. Let's take a look at the St. Louis region. The Northwestern Wildcats are the top seed, finishing at 27-7. They won both the regular season and conference tournament titles in the Big Ten. They'll take on the Radford Highlanders, the number 16 ranked team. This will be their 5th appearance ever in the NCAA. There are going to be some incredible matchups in the later rounds of this bracket if the top seeds can avoid the early ups. And finally, let's have a look at the West region. The Dayton Flyers are the... It's the first question every selection Sunday. Which is the toughest bracket? What are your thoughts on our top 16 seeds, Clark?
There are no real off-the-wall picks that jump out at me. These 16 teams are all pretty deserving. Let's give the committee some props this year. Northwestern is the softest of the top seed. I'm not going to say exactly when they'll go down, but if I had to pick a number 1 team that won't be at the Final Four, it would be them.
Now, let's bring the conference picture into focus. The ACC gets 7 teams. The Big 12 with 7, 6 out of the Big East. The Big 10 gets 5 teams.
It was really a terrific year for the teams in the West Coast Conference. They topped the non-power conferences with the number of bids they got, and it shows you how far this conference has come. They're becoming dominant at that level.
It's too bad we didn't see more small conference schools in the tournament. None of those conferences got more than 1 team in the tourney, and I don't expect any David and Goliath stories out of the teams that did get in.
I'm surprised there were so few bids for the teams in the Pac-10. It was an especially disappointing year for that conference. Usually you can count on a few of the nation's elite teams coming out of there, but this was a season where very few of those teams could maintain any type of positive momentum.
Here's the list of the teams that were on the bubble heading into Selection Sunday. So, partner, which of those invitees should be sending the selection committee a thank you card?
Fairfield did themselves a big favor with their hot finish. They were really on the...
All right, Clark, now that... Welcome to the 2K Sports Studios. I'm Greg Gumbel, along with my partner Clark Kellogg. Coming up on the NCAA Tournament Edition of College Hoops Tonight, brought to you by State Farm, the #1 auto insurer. We'll preview the marquee matchups of the Sweet 16, as well as show you some of the great action from the first 2 rounds. But we begin with the player who dominated the first week of the tournament.
Neighbors was phenomenal this week. As performances by 2 guards go, his ranks up there with any of them this season.
I'd be shortchanging his performance if I put a finger on any one aspect of this young man's performance this week, because he did so many things well. I'd have to say this is one of the great all-around performances of the year. There truly wasn't anything he didn't do this week at either end of the court. Now, let's turn our attention to a few of the huge battles upcoming this week in the Sweet 16. We're really getting into the meat of March Madness now. This should be a terrific matchup. Both these teams are fighting to improve their position among the nation's elite teams, and they're going to have to go through each other to do it.
Miami gets my vote, partner. They just seem to be playing at an extremely high level right now. Their ability to adapt to any style is what impresses me the most. If one thing isn't working for them, they can lean on something else without missing a beat.
And how about another huge matchup from the third round? This should be a terrific matchup. Both these teams are fighting to improve their position among the nation's elite teams, and they're going to have to go through each other to do it.
TCU is going to be my pick this time, Greg. their style could really present some problems on the offensive end of the court. And I look for them to be an absolute handful every time the ball's in their feet.
As usual, the first weekend of March Madness had what are sure to be some of the most dramatic contests of the entire tournament. Our first game was an outstanding matchup from the first round. TCU beat San Jose State.
The TCU Horned Frogs were intensely focused coming into this game, and their preparation was outstanding. They looked like they were ready for anything, Greg, kind of like you are when we come into the studio. TCU was going into this game looking to build some momentum, and I think they did it, Greg. This win really impressed me just in the way the players carried themselves. They looked to me like a team that could really get into a groove and start doing some serious damage to their opponents.
This next game was another superb March Madness battle. Georgia Tech did away with Stanford.
Sometimes you see a team come out flat in a first-round game, but that was not the case here. They looked fresh, and this seemed more like a mid-round game to me, Greg. Conroy had the hot hand on the winning side. His 12 points led the team. And in addition to his scoring, he is a tenacious defender. He makes everyone around him a better defender. With this combination of offense and defense, it's easy to see why they won this game.
Hi, everyone. I'm Greg Gumbel, joined at the anchor desk by my partner, Clark Kellogg. Next up on the NCAA Tournament edition of College Hoops Tonight, brought to you by State Farm, the #1 auto insurer. We'll recap some of the terrific games from the Sweet 16 and Elite 8, as well as give you a preview of the upcoming action from the Final Four. But we begin with the player who gave a virtuoso performance in the second week of the tournament.
Dean was phenomenal this week. As performances by two guards go, his ranks up there with any of them this season.
You got that right, partner. This had to be one of the great Sweet 16 and Elite 8 performances that we've seen. Not only was he clicking on all cylinders offensively, he matched that performance at the defensive end. He threw off the opposing game plan in the first and second rounds. We'll see if he keeps it going into the Final Four. Clark, the past weekend provided some incredible drama, so let's take a look at some of the most exciting contests from the Sweet 16 and Elite 8. Our first game was an outstanding matchup from the Elite 8. Massachusetts toppled West Virginia.
The Massachusetts Minutemen were intensely focused coming into this game, and their preparation was outstanding. They look like they were ready for anything, Greg, kind of like you are when we come into the studio. Massachusetts was going into this game looking to build some momentum, and I think they did it, Greg. This win really impressed me just in the way the players carried themselves. They looked to me like a team that could really get into a groove and start doing some serious damage to their opponents.
This next game was another superb March Madness battle. TCU beat Baylor.
Well, Greg, this game wasn't decided until that final buzzer sounded. A couple of different bounces one way or the other, and this could have been a totally different outcome. Rudakis was not going to be denied. His 25 points led the team. He was splashing threes from all over the place, Greg. In transition, in the half-court set, it didn't matter. He was letting them fly and watching them drop. And for him to have a game like that on college basketball's grandest stage, the NCAA tournament, is simply phenomenal, Greg. What a performer.
Let's look ahead to what we've been waiting for all season, the Final Four. With the 4 teams we have, this should be as good a final weekend as we've seen in quite some time. I'm looking forward to this game just like everybody else. This matchup has the possibility of becoming quite a little rivalry because these teams match up so well against each other, and it's always a heated atmosphere when they're on the court together.
Oklahoma State is a very good basketball team with an experienced lineup of juniors and seniors who should keep their composure under this tournament spotlight. I believe they'll go out and attack right away and not worry about the pressure at all.
And the other Final Four contest should be just as riveting. This should be a terrific matchup. Both these teams are fighting to improve their position among the nation's elite teams, and they're going to have to go through each other to do it.
TCU plays a brand of defense that should make the difference in this game. They are a tough team to score against. And if you don't squeeze the orange, they'll take it. I think they'll be in top form for this contest.
That'll do it for us here in the studio. For my partner, Clark Kellogg, I'm Greg.